pause the video and try this question. When you're ready for the answer, press play. Question number 1. Simplify the expression 3x take away 2 bracket x take away 4. So all you need to do here is multiply out the brackets. 2 times x is 2x, negative sign, 2x. Then 2 times 4. However, you need to pay attention to the sign here. There's negative here, negative here. When you multiply a negative number by another negative number, you get positive 8. Now you can see 3x take away 2x is just 1x plus 8. This is the final answer. So I'm going to write it here, x add 8. If you got this right, you can award yourself 2 marks. Here's the second question. Pause the video and try this yourself. Work out 3/4 of 36. So I'm going to write this as 3/4. Of in math is times 36. Give your answer as a whole number. Now 4 goes into 36 9 times. 9 times 3, the answer is 27 for 1 mark. As we go, please keep a record of how many marks you get. So we can add the total mark at the end, see how many marks you can get out of 80. Here's the third question. Try this yourself first. Write 0.36 as a fraction in its simplest form. So I can see there are 2 decimal places here. So it's 0.36 is the same as 36/100. Now the question says to get it into the simplest form. So I can divide both of them by 2. If you see that you can straight away divide it by 4 or something, you can go straight away and do that. But let's just do it in the simplest way. 36 divided by 2 is 18. 100 divided by 2 is 50. And I can divide it 2 again. So divided by 2, divided by 2. Then I get 25 is my denominator. Numerator is 9. I cannot simplify it any further. So let's write the final answer as 9/25 for 1 mark. Now here you can see the fourth question. Pause the video and give it a try. The area of a triangle is 24 square centimeters and the base is 6 centimeters. What is the height? Let's draw a diagram. So the question says that the base is 6 centimeters and the area is 24. What is the perpendicular height? So the formula for the area of a triangle is area A is equal to base multiplied by the perpendicular height divided by 2. Let's substitute the values. A is 24. The base is 6. Perpendicular height, I don't know, so I'm going to put the letter H divided by 2. Now you can see 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I'm going to put a 3 here. So 24 is equal to 3 times H. So I need to divide both sides by 3. And these 2 3's get cancelled out. So I can see the height is 24 divided by 3 is 8. So the final answer is 8 centimeters. Now to check if your answer is right, you can substitute that 8 back in here and see if it works. So let's give it a try. Area is base is 6, height is 8 divided by 2. 6 times 8 is 48 divided by 2 is 24. I get exactly the same one, so I know this is the correct answer. Here's the fifth question. This question is on inequalities. Pause the video and try it. Solve the inequality 3x take away 4 is less than 2x add 7. Now obviously I'm going to take away 2x from both sides. So these 2 gets cancelled out. 3x take away 2x is x take away 4 is less than 7. The opposite of negative 4 is add 4 to both sides. And these 2 gets cancelled out. The final answer is x is less than 11. Here you can see question number 6. This is about speed, distance, and time. A car travels 120 miles in 2 hours and 40 minutes. So the distance here is 120 miles and the time is 2 hours and 40 minutes. Calculate its average speed in miles per hour. Now, the formula for average speed is total distance divided by total time. And I need the answer in miles per hour. Now, I already have the distance in miles. However, my time is in hours and minutes. So I have to do the conversion here. Now, 40 minutes is how many hours? So 1 hour is 60 minutes. So you need to divide 40 by 60. Now, that would simplify to 2/3. So the total time here is 2 hours and 2/3. I would not convert this into a decimal at this point because this is a non-calculator paper and I'm getting a recurring decimal when you divide 2/3 as 0.6 recurring, but it's a lot easier if I just leave it as a fraction. So let me show you how to do this one. Total distance is 120 miles divided by total time is 2 hours and 2/3 of an hour. Now this is in miles and this is in hours. So let's do the division. So I need to do 120 divided by, let's turn this into an improper fraction. 3 times 2 is 6 and 2 is 8/3. Now I can use KFC or keep flip change. So 120, instead of dividing it by 8/3, I'm going to multiply it by 3/8. Now 120 divided by 8 is 15. 15 times 3, the answer is 45. So the final answer, 45 miles per hour. Here's the 7th question. Pause the video and try this. Here are the first 4 terms of a sequence. Find the nth term of this sequence. Now, 3 to 6, the difference is add 3. 6 to 11, the difference is add 5. 18 take away 11, that is 7. So you can clearly see this is a quadratic sequence. So how do I know? Because I can see variable first difference here, 3 and 5 and 7. But if you take the second difference from 3 to 5, it's 2. 5 to 7, it's 2. So you have constant second difference and variable first difference. So this is a quadratic sequence. Now for a quadratic sequence, I know there are 3 formulae that we can use. They are 2a is the second difference, 3a at b is the second term, take away the first term, a at b at c is equal to the first term. Now let's see how to use this to get the answer. So 2a is the second difference. Now where's the second difference? The second difference is here. Okay, so let's make this 2a is equal to 2. Obviously a is equal to 1. So I know the value of a is 1. Now 3a add b is equal to second term take away first term, that is this one here. That will be 3. But I already know my a is 1. So I'm going to substitute 1 for this a. So what do I get now? 3 times 1 add b is equal to 3. 3 add b is equal to 3. Obviously, b must be 0. Third one. A add b add c is equal to the first term. Now, here is the first term. Now, there's a thing you can memorize here, guys. You normally use, you always use this number first in the first one here. The second one here, using the second formula. The third one here. So you kind of go like that. Some of you may do this in a slightly different way. It's okay as long as you get the right answer, but I personally prefer this method and I teach this to my students. So let's see how to do the last one. A at B at C is equal to the first term, which is 3. Now I already know A is 1, B is 0. Or let's put this one. 1 at C is equal to 3. So take the one to the other side. So C must be 2. So A is 1. So 1 n squared, or you can just even put n squared. Plus B is 0. 0 times n is 0. So that term completely disappears. And C is 2. Question number 8. Solve the simultaneous equations. Now this is a question that they've asked over and over again over many years. So please pause the video and give it a try. So this one is actually a relatively easy one because I already have y here and exactly the same term here. Now you need to look at the sign inside the circle. Here it is positive, this one is negative. Now remember the rule, when you have opposite signs, you always add. So you're going to add these two. Now let's do the addition. 2x add x is 3x. Y, take away y, cancel out. 10 add 1 is 11. Now divide both sides by 3. And these two gets cancelled out. So I know the value of x is 11 over 3. To find the value of y, I need to substitute in one of those two. Substitute in 2. Let's do that. 11 over 3, take away 1 is y. So let's do the simplification. So y is equal to common denominator 3. That's 11, take away 1 times 3 is 3. Y is equal to 11, take away 3 is 8 over 3. So here's the value of y. Now I need to write both answers correctly in this space. Here the remainder is 2. So my final answers are 3 and 2/3 and 2 and 2/3. And that's for 4 marks. Question number 9. Construct an angle of 60 degrees using only a compass and ruler. Now remember this question, you cannot use a protractor. You're supposed to do this with a pair of compasses and a ruler. Try this question and press play when you're ready to check the answer. Now the first step is to draw a straight line using a ruler. So you draw a straight line and we are going to start the angle from this point. So let's label it as O. Now you need to do the rest using a pair of compasses. It's quite difficult for me to show it here. So I'm just going to do what I can do to make you understand it. Now the first step is you take the pair of compasses and you need to put it like this. So your point should be exactly on the starting point, like that. And then you can extend it a bit. It doesn't really matter how much you extend, but you need to extend it and you need to draw an arc here. So now we have an arc like this. Now we need to use the compass without changing the gap. Now you know the gap that you used to draw the first part here, this gap, you should not change it. So take the pair of compasses without changing it and let's put the point at this point now here. Now, so you need to put the point here and then you need to draw another arc like this. Now, if you join this starting point and where these two lines intersect here, like that, that angle you get here would be exactly 60 degrees, like that. Here's the 10th question. Pause the video and try this. Prove that the sum of any 3 consecutive odd numbers is divisible by 3. 3 consecutive odd numbers, and you should show that they can be divided by 3 when you add them up. So let's do this. Any odd number can be written as 2n add 1. So the consecutive odd numbers, you need to find the next 2 odd numbers. So let's get the next one. So 2n add 1, if you add 2 to that, you get 2n add 3. The one after that would be 2n add 5. Now you can also go backwards and take 2n minus 1, 2n plus 1, and 2n plus 3, or you can use this way. They both give the same answer. I mean, you can prove the same thing, but slightly different way. So let's do it this way anyway. So we need to get the sum. So let's add them up. So sum is, let's collect the like terms, 2n, 2n, and 2n. That will be 6n. Now let's collect the numbers. 1 add 3 is 4. 4 add 5 is 9. So this is the expression that we get for the sum of 3 consecutive odd numbers. So I need to show that it is divisible by 3. So let's factorize it. 3 can be taken out. 6n, you take 3 out, you're left with 2n plus 9 divided by 3 is 3. So I can obviously divide it by 3. You can write that this is divisible by 3. You can divide it by 3 and show that you get 2n and 3 when you divide. Either way, it's okay. Here's the next question. Pause the video and give it a try. The diagram shows a regular pentagon and a nonagon. So here's the regular pentagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all equal sides. And the other one is a regular nonagon. So which means there are 9 sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now the question is to work out the size of the angle x here. Now there are 2 ways of doing this one. I'm going to tell you the easier way. First, you need to extend this line like this. Now when you do that, here you get an angle here. This is the exterior angle of the nonagon. Call it E1. And this angle here, E2, is the exterior angle of the pentagon. Now, we know all the exterior angles of any regular pentagon, all the exterior angle of a regular polygon, all of the exterior angles add up to 360. So when you think about the pentagon, there are 5 exterior angles. So the size of one would be 360 divided by 5, which is 72 degrees. Now, for the nonagon, 360 degrees should be divided by 9 because there are 9 exterior angles. So E1 is 40 degrees. Now, you can clearly see your angle x here is the sum of E1 and E2. And I know E1 is 40 degrees, E2 is 72 degrees. 40 at 72, the answer is 112 degrees. Now, here's the second way of doing this. Most people do it this way, but I think the previous method is a bit easier, but that also works. Now, the other way is you need to work out the size of the interior angle of the nonagon. Now, we know the sum of interior angles is 180 multiplied by n take away 2. N is the number of sides. So it's 180 multiplied by 9 sides take away 2 is 7. So we know the sum of all of the interior angles of the nonagon is 1260. So to find one of them, what you need to do is you need to divide 1260 by 9. So you can see this is 140 degrees. Similarly, we can work out the interior angle of a pentagon because it's 180 multiplied by n is 5 take away 2. 5 take away 2 is 3 times 180 is 540. But 540 is all 5 of them. So one of them is 540 divided by 5, which is 108 degrees. Now we know the I1 and I2 to find x because I know all of these angles add up to 360. So 360 take away the sum of 140 and 108, which is 360 take away 140, add 100, 240, add 8, 248 should be taken away. 360 take away 248, that again gives you exactly the same answer like before. Here's the next question. Please give this a try. The table shows some information about the weights, W kilogram, of 20 students. So the sum of the frequencies must be 20. Find the class interval in which the median lies. So you got 20 students. So we know the first 3 students are here. The next 4 students are here. So that's 7 students up to here. Then the 8th student, 9th, 10th, all of those students are here in this group here. So we know the median lies in this one. So the answer is 60 to 70. That one is for only 1 mark. Next question, next part. Work out an estimate for the mean weight of the students. Now in a question like this, we don't know the actual weight of students because we know just the range. So what we need to do is we need to work out the midpoint. 40 to 50. So we assume it's 45 kilograms. So the students in that group, there are 3 of them. So we assume on average, they are 45 kilograms. It could be anything from 40 to 50, but we assume it to be 45. 50 to 60, the midpoint is 55. 60 to 70, it is 65. 70 to 80, it is 75. Now, you know the weight, you know the frequency, so we are going to add another column at the end. So we are going to use this column to multiply the weight by the frequency. So let's do that. 45 multiplied by 3 is 135. 55 multiplied by 4. Now that's easy. Multiplying by 4 is double and double again. Double 55 is 110. Double 110 is 220. 65 multiplied by 5. Again, I would personally do it by 60 times 5, 300. 5 times 5, 25. So that's 325. 75 multiplied by 8. So you can also do this in a quick way by turning 2 75s into 150 and timesing it by 4 to get 600. Or you can just do the normal way. Now let's get the total of these numbers. 5 add 5 is 10. You put a 0. 1 is carried. 3 add 1 is 4. Add 2 is 6. Add 2 is 8. You put 8 here. 1 add 2 is 3. Add 3 is 6. Add 6 is 12. So we know the total of this column, the last column, is 1280. Now, to find the estimated mean, you need to divide 1280 by the total of the frequency column, but the question says it's 20. So let's divide it by 20. This 0 and this 0 gets cancelled out. Half of 128 is 64. Now, the units are not given, so I have to put kg. Final answer to get 3 marks. Question number 13. Pause the video and give it a try. Simon and Leah are hiking in the hills. Simon walks from checkpoint X to Y on a bearing of 120 degrees. Now let's draw a diagram. We know roughly this is 90. So 120 should be sort of in a direction like this. It doesn't need to be exact, but it helps if I get a point that is approximately the correct number of degrees. Here's the north. Now I'm going to join X and Y like this. Simon walks from checkpoint X to Y on a bearing of 120. So I'm going to mark this angle here as 120 degrees. Leah is going to walk from Y to X, the exact opposite way. Work out the bearing of X from Y. So now I need to draw my north from point Y. And remember, bearings are always measured from the north and in a clockwise direction. So Leah's angle would be all of that. Now, how do we work this out? We can think of the basic rules of geometry. You know, these two angles, the 120 degrees angle and this angle, they are co-interior angles. And remember, co-interior angles add up to 180. So obviously this must be 60 degrees. So let's write the reason. So we can write it, then write 180 take away 120 is 60 degrees. Now I need to find the bearing. Bearing is here, but all of this add up to 360. So I know all of these points, everything add up to 360. And what's the reason? Angles about a point add up to 360. So obviously this is going to be 360 degrees. Take away 60 degrees. The answer is 300 degrees. It's already in 3 digits, so I don't need to worry about changing the number of the digits. It's already there. I would rather write the reason here just in case. Angles about a point add up to 360 degrees. Some students write angles in a circle is 360. You might get away with that, but it's not the best way to write it. Angles about a point add up to 360 is the correct wording. And here's the final answer to get 2 marks. Question number 14. Pause the video and give it a try. Point A has coordinates -2, 4. Point M has coordinates 1, 6. M is the midpoint of line AB. Find the coordinates of point B. Now it's good to draw a diagram so that you can sort of visualize this better. Now I just mark the points for my diagram. Point A has coordinates -2, 4. -2 here, 4 here. So that's my point A. Point M, which is the midpoint, has coordinates 1, 6. So 1 here, 6 here. So here's my point M. AB is a straight line and it starts from A and it passes the midpoint and go somewhere here. Let's say this is your point B. Now the question is, find the coordinates of point B. Now we don't know the coordinates. Let's call the coordinate x coordinate of point B x and y coordinate of point B as y. To get the coordinates of the midpoint, all you need to do is add up the x coordinates and half it. So x1 add x2 divided by 2 gives you the x coordinate of the midpoint. Now what's the x coordinate here? X coordinate is 1. So I already know x1, point 1, point A, the x coordinate is -2. So let's substitute -2 here. And the value of x is equal to 4. So let's do the same thing for the y coordinates. So here's the final answer. The coordinates of point B, your x coordinate is 4, y coordinate is 8. So 4, 8 with brackets. Here's the next question. Please pause the video and give it a try. James, Priya and Amir have all just been paid. We don't know the amount that they got paid. Okay. Priya received £60 more than James, but we don't know how much James got. So let's imagine that James got X amount of pounds. That's his salary. Priya got £60 more. Okay. So the Priya's amount should be X add 60. Okay. Amir received 50% more than James. So Amir got whatever James got, that is X, 1.5 times that because it's 50% on top. Altogether, they received 900. So the sum of these three, X, X at 60, and 1.5X should be 900. Let's collect the like terms together. I have X at X, 2X. 2X at 1.5X is 3.5X. 3.5X add 60 is equal to 900. Let's move the 60 to the other side. I get 3.5x is equal to 840. So now I need to divide both sides by 3.5. Now I'll tell you a small trick here. because this is a non-calculator paper, I would rather write 3.5 as 7 over 2x. It's the same thing, isn't it? Because half of 7 is 3.5 is equal to 840. Now, it's really easy. These two gets cancelled out. 7 goes into 840, 120 times, because I know 12 times 7 is 84. 120 times 2 gives me 240. Now remember, this 240 is the x, which is what James gets. But what's the question? How much did Amir receive? So Amir gets 1.5x. So all you need to do is 1.5 times by 240. Or Amir gets 50% more than James. So James gets 240. Amir should get half of that on top, which is 120. Add them up. The answer is 360 pounds. Easy, 3 marks. Question number 16. Please pause the video and try this question. Ali wants to find an estimate for the number of fish in his pond. On Monday, he catches 60 of the fish. Now, we don't know the number of fish in this pond, so let's call that is X. He puts a tag on each fish and releases them back into the pond. Now, by this point, we have 60 fish out of X with a tag. On Tuesday, he catches 80 of the fish. He finds that 16 of these fish have tags. So from the second sample, I can see 16 out of 80 have tags. Work out an estimate for the total number of fish, which is xn, in the pond. Now remember, the whole idea here is the fraction of fish with a tag to start with, when you consider the whole big sample, is the same as the fraction of fish with the tag in the smaller sample approximately. So I can write 60 over xn is equal to 16 over 80. Now, I know 16 times 5 is 80, so I'm going to divide both by 5. 1 and 5. So, I have 60 over x is equal to 1 over 5. Now I'm going to do the cross multiplication. 60 times 5 is 1 times x, so x is 60 times 5 is 300. So for 3 marks, the estimate here is 300. Ali assumes that none of the tags came off between Monday and Tuesday. If Ali's assumption is wrong, meaning some tags actually came off, explain what effect this would have on your answer to part A. Now, when we did the calculation, now this is something that students sometimes get a bit muddled up. So let's very carefully discuss this. Now, let's get an expression for x. So 60 over xn is equal to 16 over 80. Let's make x the subject here. Bring x here, 80 here. X is equal to 60 multiplied by 80 divided by 16. Ali thought the number of fish with the tags is 16. Well, that's what he got. That his assumption was wrong. That means the number of fish in this sample of 80 with a tag should have been more than 16. So which means when you divide by 16, you got the answer here as 300. But really, I mean, let's make some imagination here, right? So it's easy to understand it like that. Imagine 4 tags fell off. So really, it's not 16, it must be 20. So if it was 20, now this is the real thing, right? 20 goes into 60 3 times. It should be 240. Oh, but because the tags fell off, he got the wrong impression that it is 300. So 300 is actually an overestimate. Now let's write a nice answer. Now I did all of these things just to explain you the concept, guys. You don't really need any of these things in the real exam. You just need to write an explanation for the first thing. So this is to help you with your thinking process. So we can write, if tags fell off, Ali would have overestimated the number of fish. 1 mark. Question number 17. Pause the video and try the question. A bag contains blue and red beads. Meena picks a bead at random. So here's a bag and you have blue and red. The probability that the bead is blue is 1 over 7. Okay, so if the number of blue beads divided by blue plus red, the total is 1 over 7. That's what we can learn from this sentence here. Then 5 blue beads are added to the bag. Oh, okay. Now in the second situation, we got the number of blue beads go up by 5. So B at 5. And the probability of choosing a blue bead becomes a quarter. Oh, the red beads stay the same. So we can say blue at 5, which is the total number of blues now, divided by the total number of beads, which is B at R at 5. So just the sum of all of this. Now this, they say, is a quarter. So the question is, how many red beads are in the bag? Okay, so let's cross multiply these two. So I get 7B is equal to 1 times B at R is just B at R. Now I can move the B to this side. I get 6B is equal to R. Let's cross multiply these two as well. I get 4 brackets B at 5 is equal to 1 times all of that just remains the same. So B at R at 5. Multiply out the brackets. 4 times B, 4B, 4 times 5, 20 is equal to B at R at 5. Now let's simplify this a little further. I'm going to bring all the letters to the right hand side. So let's leave 20 on this side. And I'm going to move this 4B to the other side. So I have B and R, take away 4B. Now you know this 5, I'm going to move it to this side where it becomes take away 5. 20 take away 5 is 15 is equal to B and R take away 4B. R stays as R. B take away 4B is negative 3B. 1B take away 4B. Now, let's see what we can do. We have this expression here. From the first one, I know R is 6B. So what can I do now? Instead of this R here, I can substitute this 6B. So let's put this here. So let's see what we get. 15 is equal to 6B take away 3B. 15 is equal to 3B. Obviously, divide both sides by 3. The number of blue counters, beads, is 15 divided by 3, 5. Now, what's the question? How many red beads are in the bag? So, from the first one, from this one we know the number of red beads is 6 times B. So obviously the number of red beads is 6 times 5. And the final answer, 30 beads. Good question for 4 marks. Question number 18. Try this question. A chessboard has 64 squares labeled from A1 to H8. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, 8 this side, 1 to 8 on the other side. That's 64 altogether. A single bean is placed on square A1. Okay, so you put a bean here. Then the number of beans is doubled on each following square. So 2 on A2. So A2, you have 2. Then 4 on A3, here you have 4. And 8 on A4, and 16, and 32, so on and so forth. Right. How many bins will be placed on the last square H8? So if you follow it through like that and like this, on this square, how many will you get? Give your answer as a power of 2. Now you can clearly see this is a geometric sequence. How do we know? Because there is a common ratio. Every number is multiplied by 2 to get the next one. So I can do part B first because I just identified it. What type of number sequence is this? It's a geometric sequence. Now for the first part, so A is 1, R is 2. So the formula is AR to the power of n minus 1. So the final answer for this one, A is 1, R is 2 to the power of 64 squares altogether. Take away 1, and that simplifies to 2 to the power of 63. 2 marks. Question number 19 on indices. Pause the video and try this question, please. So the first step in a question like this is I can easily divide both sides by 4. So I can cross these two out, and I got 9 to the power of 2n take away 1 is equal to 324 divided by 4. 4 goes into 32. 8 times 4 divided by 4 is 1. That will be 81. Now, 81 is 9 squared. So I can write 9 to the power of 2n take 1 is equal to 9 squared. Now you can clearly see these two must be the same. So I can write 2n take away 1 is equal to 2. Negative 1 becomes positive here. 2n is equal to 3. So divide both sides by 2. These two gets cancelled out. N is equal to 3 over 2. Question number 20. Proof of circle theorems. Pause the video and try the question. Prove the angle subtended at the circumference by a semicircle is a right angle. So we need to mark the center O, and you need to connect this point center to the right angle. Now we know that this and this are equal because these are radii of the same circle. In fact, this is the sine. So if I put some letters here, call it A, B, and C, I can say that they are all equal. OA, OB, OC are radii of the same circle. Now, because these are radii of the same circle, if this angle is x, this angle will be x. Similarly, if this angle here is y, this angle here will be y. The reason is that they are base angles of an isosceles triangle. Now you can see that this angle here x, this angle here y, and this angle at the top, which is x at y, they all add up to 180 degrees. Reason, these are the interior angles of a triangle. Now we can simplify this further. So you can see this x here and x here can combine to become 2x, and y at y is y is equal to 180 degrees. Now I can factorize the 2 out. So I get 2 bracket x and y is equal to 180 degrees. Divide both sides by 2. These two gets cancelled out. So x and y is 90 degrees. Now you can see x and y is this angle here, which is the angle in a semicircle. So you can write the conclusion as, so the angle in a semicircle is right. Sometimes students do this in a slightly different way. That's also perfectly fine. What the other method is, if this is x and this is x, this will be 180 take away 2x, because interior angles of a triangle, and this will be 180 take away 2y. And you can just write that 180 take away 2x and 180 take away 2y is 180. The reason is angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. And now you can see 180 and 180 is 360, take away 2x, take away 2y is equal to 180 degrees. Now move these two to the other side and move the 180 to this side, and you get exactly 180 degrees is equal to 2x and 2y. Therefore, you get back to the same conclusion. Now, what I did at the end here in red is not necessary here. You can just write this way, or instead of using the method of considering the big triangle, you can do this one. So these are just alternate ways of getting the mark for this question. 4 marks. Question number 21. Pause the video and try this question. If it takes 10 minutes to fill a tank using just the main pipe and 15 minutes using the backup pipe. So there's a tank. If you use the main pipe, you can fill this in 10 minutes. Just the main pipe. But there's also a backup pipe. And if you use just the backup pipe, it takes 15 minutes. The question is, what if you use both at the same time? So what's the time taken for this one? Now, this is not a hard question, but I know many students that kind of struggle with questions like this. So let's discuss this. Now, let's say the volume of this one is V, because you don't know the volume. You can also assume a value, but let's say the volume of the tank is just V. Now, the rate of flow of water in the first one is V over 10 per minute. Divide the volume by time. The rate of the second situation is V over 15 per minute. Now, this is the backup pipes rate. Now, if you open both of them, obviously, the rate must be the sum. V over 10 and V over 15. Now, let's simplify this a little further. So, I can see the common denominator is 30. So, 10 times 3 is 30, so that will be 3V, plus 15 times 2 is 30, so that top will be 2V. 3V and 2V is 5V over 30. You can simplify this 5 with this 30. So the rate is now V over 6. So this V over 6 is the new rate when both are open. Now the question is, how long would it take to fill? So the time it takes to fill would be the volume divided by the rate. So that will be V divided by V over 6. So let's apply KFC. V multiplied by 6 over V, and these two gets cancelled out. And the final answer is 6 minutes. So that makes sense, because the big pipe on its own would take 10 minutes. The small one on its own take 15 minutes. But both together, it takes less time. The final answer is 6 minutes. Now, you can also do this question by assuming a value. For an example, if you assume this V to be... Now, for this question, to get full marks, this is enough. But I'm just explaining it further so that it makes more sense. Now, let's imagine this V is 300 cubic centimeters, liters, anything. So that's 300. That will be 300. Same volume. Now, 300 divided by 10 is 30. So here the rate is 30. Here 300 divided by 15 is 20. The new rate here is 20. Now, what if they are both open? 30 and 20, the rate is 50. So if the rate is 50 cubic centimeters per minute, and you need to see how long would it take to fill the whole thing, which is 300, you do 300 divided by 50 and you get 6. Once again, 6 minutes. Same answer here. But what I did here in red is just a further explanation or another way of doing it. Question number 22. Pause the video and try this. Prove algebraically that the sum of the squares of any two consecutive integers is always one more than twice their product. Now, let's break this down. So let's call any integer is n. Sum of the squares of any two consecutive integers. So we need to get the next integer. Sum of the squares. So let's get the sum of the squares. So that will be n squared add n add 1 everything squared, which I can simplify as n squared add n add 1 multiplied by itself. So that will be n squared add n times n squared n times 1 1n 1 times n 1 times 1 1. Simplifies further. N squared plus n squared is 2n squared. The two n's here combine to produce 2n and 1. Now this is my expression for the sum of the squares of the two consecutive integers. Now the question is to show that it is always one more than twice their product. So let's get the product of them. Product means you multiply them. Is n bracket n add 1. Simplify this, that is n squared add n. N times n squared, n times 1. If we can prove that this expression here is one more than twice the product. So if you double this, 2 bracket n squared add 1 and 1 more, so you add 1. So you get 2n squared plus 2n add 1. And we can see that these two are the same. Question number 23 on a velocity time graph. Please pause the video and give this a try. Car moves along a straight road over a period of 40 seconds. The car accelerates uniformly from rest, so you start with 0, to 20 meters per second in the first 10 seconds. So we know the time here is 10 seconds and it accelerates, so a straight line through the origin like that, and the speed that it gets, that it achieves at the end of the first 10-second period is 20 meters per second. Then it then maintains this velocity for 15 seconds. So for the next 15 seconds, which is 15 at 10, that's 25. So the time in seconds, velocity in meters per second is that. Finally, it decelerates uniformly to rest. That means it comes back to 0 in the last part. And now we know the total time of the journey is 40 seconds. So that will be 15 seconds here because the final time is 40 here. Sketch the velocity time graph to represent this motion. So you need to put v and t, correct units, and all the numbers. So that will get you the 2 marks. Calculate the total distance traveled by the car. Now, the total distance is basically the area under the graph. Now you can see this is a trapezium. So very easy to find the area. So it's A at B divided by 2 multiplied by the perpendicular height. Line at the bottom from here to here is 40. So I'm going to call that A. And this line here is 15, 10 to 25. I'm going to call that B. So let's put the values in. 40 plus 15 divided by 2 multiplied by the perpendicular height here is 20. The total distance traveled is 550 meters. Work out the acceleration during the first 10 seconds. To find the acceleration or deceleration, it is the gradient of the graph. Let's find the gradient. Gradient here, you need to consider that is still 20. I need to find the gradient of this line here. And this gap here is 15. 40 take away 25. So the deceleration is, now many students ask, isn't the gradient of this last part negative? So shouldn't I put negative here? No, you don't. The reason is, if the question was what's the acceleration of this last part, the acceleration is negative 4 over 3. That's correct. But when the question has the word deceleration, the idea that it is going down is already there. So you don't put a negative sign again. So the deceleration is 4 over 3. Acceleration, negative 4 over 3. Deceleration, 4 over 3. Question number 24, probability. Pause the video and try this one. A bag contains only red and yellow counters. There are X number of red counters and 12 take away X of yellow counters. So we know altogether there are 12 counters. That's why it's 12 minus X for yellow. Okay. Two counters are chosen at random with no replacement. The probability that both counters are red is 5 over 33. So that is probability of red followed by red. Show that this leads to the following equation. Now, the first counter being red is X over 12 because the total number is 12. There are X reds. For the second one, now, if the first one was a red, the number of red ones available in the bag will be 1 less than before. So it will be X take away 1. And there were 12 to start with, but 1 has been taken. So now there will be only 11 left. So this is probability of getting a red for the first time. This is the probability of getting a red counter for the second time. Now the question says that it is 5 over 33. Now let's simplify this further. I'm going to put brackets here just in case. Now X bracket X minus 1 is equal to 5 over 33. I'm going to move both 11 and 12 to the other side. So multiplied by 11 multiplied by 12. Now you can clearly see 11 goes into that 3 times. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And 5 times 4 gives 20. And X bracket X minus 1 is equal to 20. Done. That's exactly this one. Solve the equation to find how many red counters are in the bag. Okay. Now, these two multiply to give you a 20. So let's multiply this out. X times X, X squared, take away 1X is equal to 20. Now I'm going to move the 20 to this side. So I get X squared, take away X, take away 20 is equal to 0. Now I'm going to factorize it. Equals 0, put X here and X here. Now I need to find factors of negative 20 that add up to negative 1. Obviously, it will be negative 5 times 4 because for negative 5 times positive 4 gives you negative 20. So let's put negative 5 here and add 4 here. So if two things multiply to give you a 0, it's either the first one is 0 or the second one is 0. X could be 5 when you solve it, or X could be negative 4. Now, X is the number of red counters. Now, the number of counters cannot be negative. So we discard that answer. So the final answer is x is equal to 5. The number of red counters is 5. Here's the final question. The basic form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Start from this and derive the quadratic formula. Pause the video, give it a try. When you're ready for the answer, press play. The first step is to divide the whole equation by a so that I can get rid of the coefficient of x squared and I can complete the square. So these two gets cancelled out. So I get x squared plus b over a x plus c over a is equal to 0. Now I'm going to move this to the side. So I get x squared plus b over a x is equal to negative c over a. Now to complete the square, I need to half this middle coefficient and square it and add it to here. So half of b over a is b over a times half, which is b over 2a. And to square it, I have to square this one now. So it's b over 2a everything squared. But this is an equation. I have to do the same thing to the both side. So b over 2a everything squared. Now I can see the left hand side is x add b over 2a everything squared. The right hand side is, I'm going to bring the positive one to the front, b squared over 4a squared. So b times b, 2a times 2a. Take away c over a. Now, to combine these two fractions, I need to have the same denominator. So I'm going to multiply this one by 4a because then I get 4a squared. But this is a fraction. Whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator. So let's multiply the top one also by 4a. Now let's see what we get. X add b over 2a everything squared is equal to, common denominator is 4a squared. I got b squared at the top minus c times 4a is 4ac. Now you can see we are getting elements of this. So we are getting close. Now I'm going to square root both sides. So the left hand side simply becomes x add b over a is equal to, right hand side becomes plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac everything divided by 4a squared. Now I'm going to move it to the other side. So I get x is equal to minus b over 2a plus or minus. Now this 4a squared can be rooted to give 2a. So I'm going to get that as just 2a. I just took a square root of that. The top bit still has the square root sign, so I'm just going to leave it as it was. B squared minus 4ac. Now you can see we have the same denominators, so I can combine them. So I got x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac, the whole thing divided by 2a. That is the quadratic formula. That's the last one, everyone. Thanks for working through the predicted paper with me. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now that's the one free way that you can help the channel. And let me know in the comments how you did. And if you need more help with any other topics before your paper 2 and paper 3, I'll try and get a predicted paper for paper 2 and paper 3 based on what we see in paper 1. Good luck with your revision, and I'll see you in the next video.